The special open council meeting to order. Introduction of late items. Mr. Jackson.
Your Worship, there is no addendums from staff at this time.
Thank you very much. Can I have a motion for the adoption of the agenda? Councillor Hong, seconded by Councillor Thorpe. Thank you. Discussion? Seeing none, call the question. All those in favour? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. First item, Regional District under Corporate Services. The Regional District Nanaimo Bylaws number 888.06 and 1216.04. There's a motion that Council consent to the adoption of the Regional District of Nanaimo Southern Community Sewer Local Service Amendment Bylaw 888.06, 2015. Second item, Regional District of Nanaimo, City of Nanaimo Municipal Benefiting Area Amendment Bylaw 1216.04, 2015, and that the Regional District of Nanaimo be notified accordingly. Can I have a motion for that item?
So moved.
Moved by Councillor Thorpe. Seconder? Councillor Brennan. Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, call the question. All those in favour? Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, Traffic Control Services, Notice of Tender to advise Council of a public tender call of $250,000 and above in accordance with the City's purchasing policy, and the motion is on page 19, and it's that Council receive for information the Traffic Services Notice of Tender report. Do I have a mover? So moved. Councillor Brennan, thank you. Seconder? Councillor Kipp, thank you. Discussion. Seeing none, call the question. All those in favour? Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, Sherwood Drive and Laguna Way Water Main Upgrade Tender. And the purpose is to advise Council of a public tender call of $250,000 and above in accordance with the City's purchasing bylaw. And there's a motion on page 20 that Council receive for information the report pertaining to the Sherwood Drive and Laguna Way Water Main Upgrade Tender. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Brennan, seconded by Councillor Bestwick. Thank you. Discussion? Seeing none, call the question. All those in favour? Opposed? Motion carries. Next one, item C, Extreme Weather Shelter and Rent Supplement Program Funding Source. To obtain Council support to utilize the Housing Legacy Reserve Fund to facilitate the Extreme Weather Shelter and Rent Supplement programs. There's a staff recommendation on page 22 that Council allocate $90,000 from the Housing Legacy Reserve Fund for the purpose of extreme weather shelter funding and rent supplement program funding. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Brennan, seconded by Councillor Fuller. Thank you. Discussion. Seeing none, call the question. All those in favour? Opposed? Motion carries. Next item. Potential of areas of the city to receive automated solid waste collection services, and that's to obtain Council approval to automate the solid waste collection services delivered to a specific area of the city commencing in the fall of 2016. There's a staff recommendation on page 25 that Council select one of the three recommended areas of the city to receive automated solid waste collection services. And so we need to select one. Do we have anyone that's prepared to move one of the three?
Can I ask staff a question?
Are you prepared to move one of them?
Well, I'd like to ask staff a question.
Okay. Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you. Which of these three zones is the most challenging? Because I think we should start with the most challenging one, work out the kinks before we work on to the easiest ones, is my thought.
I'm not aware of any particular area being any more challenging than the other. I think we do certainly have a range of housing stocks across the city, and they each represent their own individual challenges, but I'm not really thinking that one would be any more difficult than the other. Okay,
because I was just thinking the south end is a lot flatter, easier to maneuver. You get the north end, you get all the hills, you get all these others, you get Departure Bay, which kind of splits halfway between Hammond Bay. I was just curious on those kind of roads where people actually have to try to get the curbs, you know, the wheeling things on an angle, because I know that sometimes that could be difficult if it's not a flat surface. So I was just wondering which one actually has the topography, I guess, is what I want to look at, would make it the most difficult to work around some of the dead-end streets and the corners. Like I said, the blue area in the south, area 1, has, you know, easy straight lines, nice block roads compared to some of these other ones that I see in, you know, the second and the third zones. So that was just a question.
I think, if I may, in the north end, we have a lot of cul-de-sacs and a lot of multiple turns that our vehicles have to make in terms of collection. There is also, perhaps more hills in that area. But I wouldn't have said it would necessarily create more of an issue.
But it's probably the most challenging for new trucks, all right? Considering it's a new truck, we've never done it, how would you know?
Yes, exactly, and there'd be so many other factors to consider. On-street parking would be one. There'd be many, many factors to consider here.
Councillor Brennan.
Thank you. It will help me if I know the answer to this question before I can kind of make any choices here. But now that we know that we're only going to do one section of the city, what are the financial implications for the plan as we roll this out?
Okay, so the way we're doing it now is the user rate increase for the section that's going to be automated first off is the difference between that section and the non-automated sections is the price of the bins. We estimate that to be about $33 a year, and that will apply to that section of the city for a 5-year period when we pay off the bins. If council do decide to move further with further parts of the city, we would have to work out the user rate that would apply to those as well. So there'd be multiple different user rates for different parts of the city. But any increased costs as we move forward, for example, trucks, would be able to be applied to the full area of the city that's automated at the time. So, for example, we'd be purchasing trucks 3 and 4 in the, say, for example, in 2017, and those costs would be applied to the 2 automated sections of the city.
So it's almost like we're having different tax rates, although we call them user rates, but for different parts of the city.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, I should correct that one. Those trucks would apply over the whole city because we could actually run them manually as well. Yeah.
Okay. And could I ask also, what's the impact on I know that we were going to be able to not contract out our recycling services, but do them ourselves. So we were going to reap some benefit from that. What's the benefit to us now?
We're anticipating slightly less of a savings in terms of the recycling contract because we're able to offer a shorter term of a contract now. So we'd only be looking at 1-year contracts as opposed to if we'd have had the full 3-year plan, we would have had a longer frame to be able to contract out for. But still, we do expect a small savings in this first year. But however, that will be applied across the whole city.
So the whole city will reap the benefit of that small saving, but there will be smaller parts of the city that are going to have to pay higher user rates than the rest.
Exactly, and the difference being is because of the
and
purchase
not reap
of the
any
bins.
greater benefit.
Well, they will receive automated solid waste collection.
Pardon me?
Those parts would receive automated solid waste collection.
Yes.
But that would be...
Yeah.
Councillor Hong.
Oh, thank you. They would also receive bigger bins, options to not have the secondary tags if they so choose and everything else, right?
Exactly. So the automated section of the city would have the option to choose the bin sizes, and also we wouldn't be doing the additional garbage tags. We'd be moving away from that system in that section of the city.
But they would pay for digger.
But there would obviously be the user rate implications for the size of the bin they opt for.
Councillor Beswick.
Thank you. Is it fair to say that you've had a discussion with your staff, the drivers, about where they think it might be the best pilot opportunity or best pilot project for the new units that are coming in from their perspective? And then to the point about the increased costs, wherever we go, there's going to be somebody's going to pay something that they aren't paying today for new bins. So everybody's going to play catch up along the way too. So I guess there's a question and a comment.
So if I may, yes, I have discussed with staff actually if they had any feelings about the first stage of the city which should receive automated solid waste collection. And they're the experienced ones out there every day, so I thought it was a good question to ask. They have raised concerns about the south end of the city in terms of on-street parking, but then I also think there are challenges that are equal in other areas. Like when I answered Councillor Hong's question in relation to the number of cul-de-sacs, for example, in the North End, or the density of the central area. I think there's a lot of factors to weigh up here.
So you didn't help me at all, thanks.
Sorry about that.
Councillor Hong.
Sorry, one last question. Do we know what area a majority or like the injuries are taking place? I guess that's a good question to ask. Like,
I'm sorry, what was your question?
what areas in the city are the injuries occurring most?
There isn't data on that, and I'd be very surprised if there was a correlation between the area of the city and injury rates.
Okay.
Thank you. So you alluded to it, Ms. Davis, but I want to peel back the layers here a little bit, and that is right now we pay a company, I believe it's BFI, to pick up our recycling at the curb and take it to their multi-material site on 10th Street.
Yes.
So now, am I correct in understanding that we are going to now have our trucks going there as well?
Yes, that's right.
And we pay them about $600,000 a year to transport from the curbside to the facility.
Yes.
So one would expect, using simple math, that their cost for the balance of the city would be about $400,000, and we'd be picking up about $200,000 in savings. Have we had any conversation with them about what they may charge us for doing 2/3 of the city?
I've had early discussions with them, yes, and certainly we're going to get our better understanding of this when the contract expires in March of next year. I think it's fair to say that when you're renegotiating a contract and the term goes to a very short contract, so it's going to a 1-year contract, and also we're making it smaller, I do not anticipate to make a 1/3 savings here. And also something we should consider is that the implications in 2016 are also that we'd only be automating in the fall, so savings would only be made in the final quarter of the year or the final third of the year. So it wouldn't be anywhere near $200,000 savings that I'd be anticipating, and that's been built into our model.
So once 12 months is out, one would assume that the next rollout, should council elect to automate the next 1/3, then that would, we'd be looking at that 12-month period. I'm curious do you have any idea, well, I guess you don't because it hasn't gone out to tender yet, what the difference might be? Or will we be paying a premium for that 2/3?
I do expect, yes, it's all speculation at the moment, but I really don't expect savings to be very great whilst we have such a small contract for short periods of time. But it is speculation, it's hard to say.
Thank you. Thank you very much. No other questions?
Yes.
Councillor Thorpe.
Yes, thanks, Your Worship. I'm not prepared to make a motion at this point, but my thoughts on this were I don't want to see us create a north-south division or perceived rivalry to get the advanced service. If there are no economic or practical reasons for choosing one zone over another to start with, I would either look to starting in the middle or simply, you can't flip a coin for a three-way decision, but do it by random choice. Not a motion, just a thought.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Brennan.
Your Worship, I look at this again, and I think now that we have this information, there's really no real economy in rolling this out in 3 steps, and that the financial story tells us we should go back and reconsider this and do all, the whole city at once, which was the original report to us. That was the original recommendation. I know it's too late for reconsideration under the rules, but we could move to suspend the rules, reconsider this and do the full city all at once, because the savings are there to be made, and it's just this kind of balkanizing of the city and having some users paying higher rates than others. This doesn't. I don't think it'll sit well with our residents. And so I don't know. Maybe Ms. Zamrin can give us an idea. Do I have to make a motion to suspend the rules and see if that's? Oh, maybe Mr. Jackson. Sorry.
Certainly, it's council's pleasure. You can suspend the rules. You would only need a majority vote in this. You wouldn't meet the normal 2/3 vote. And then the second step would be to reconsider, or just suspend the rules for reconsideration in order to bring this other motion back.
So I'll make that motion, and if I get a seconder, then all's the better. But if not, then I guess we use the new system.
Okay. So we've got a motion on the floor to reconsider the decision.
No second.
We need a second. Okay, seconded by Councillor Thorpe. Now, discussion on reconsideration.
I think we have new information tonight, or more expanded information, that paints, the real picture for us. Before tonight, it was pretty much speculation, but tonight we have the real picture on how this will work if we do it in 3 stages. And I can't help but think that doing it all at once is the better path to take.
Okay. So I'm going to clear the queue and okay, so now these are to the reconsideration. Councillor Hong.
Thank you. Just for clarification through you from staff, wasn't the first one staged anyway, theoretically speaking? Like we weren't getting all 8 trucks next year, right?
No, it was absolutely staged.
So we would see this.
Financially, it was phased, but the costs were applied over the whole city from year 1.
Yeah, but that's cost. But you would have started asking us the exact same question. We're here tonight. What zone would you like to start the first 2 trucks?
Yes, we would have absolutely asked.
So we're in the same boat. It's just who is going to pay for it first, other than the whole city. Is that the difference? Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So the difference is the cost piece.
Yeah. So who's going to pay the $33.50 a year first?
Well, we would the implication in the first year, if it had been the full city that have got it approved, would have been about $8 per household, because those increased costs would have been applied across the whole city. So that's the difference, instead of 1/3.
Okay, I got that. Thank you.
Councillor Fuller.
Okay.
As much as I, hate seeing injuries, I'm in the garbage truck line of work. I mean, it was what I would have loved to have done when I was in grade 6 and asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? I wanted to be a garbage truck driver or garbage truck picker-upper. I think the reconsideration would work well either way. Councillor Brennan's got one idea. I would have preferred we didn't make the motion to approve 2 to begin with, and that we had waited for the core review and seen what comes out of it. It's not like, I'm not going to support going back and purchasing 4 more garbage trucks, because I think we could just as easily make a motion to do it the other way, and that one might pass as well, which I may do after we do this one. So we'll see. Thank you.
Councillor Kipp.
I can't support the motion that's on the floor currently. We made a decision to go with 2 to speed the process up from the other one, and I believe the core review has to be looked at. This is a lot of money invested. Like we say, we're talking about getting rid of a contractor. That's changed a bit, or when that'll kick in. So I don't support the motion to suspend our rule of the 6-month change and to go with purchasing a whole units. Part of my concern obviously is injuries, but that's one of the reasons I have a motion on the table tonight, to get some reports on those injuries, to see where they're at, what departments have. I can't support the motion on the floor.
Councillor Bestwick.
Thank you. I won't be supporting the reconsideration on the floor. We argued this, debated this multiple times already, and we made a decision, and the decision that we made was the right decision at the time, and it's still the right decision today. And the rollout of the new garbage trucks will take place over, in all likelihood, the 3 years. And once we have an opportunity to establish and define how it works and where it works best, and the costs that are associated, the multi-material pickup now becomes a factor, and where it's going to go and be sorted. And so we made a decision. I'm not prepared. I'm not ready and prepared to reconsider this tonight. It's a pretty significant discussion piece to have thrown out at the table. So I'm certainly not prepared to have that conversation at this point in time, to spend another $4 to $5 million tonight on increasing from 10,000 to 30,000 garbage cans and from 2 trucks to 6 or 8. I'm not prepared to do that tonight.
Councillor Brennan.
Yeah, okay, I'll just wrap it up. The information we got tonight is that if we didn't do it in the piecemeal fashion, everybody in the city would pay $8 for their garbage pickup, and under this system, a portion of the city will pay $33. So that just seems to me to be inherently unfair. And we did know about the recycling, so I guess that isn't new information, that we wouldn't be paying for the recycling, that we would be relieved of that cost under the old system. So now, tonight, we are assuming that cost, we're maintaining that cost, so I guess you're right, that's not new information.
Councillor Bestwick.
Thank you. One thing I don't need recall of is a lecture on what's new and what isn't new. The fact of the matter is, to make a decision on $4 to $6 more million tonight at the table, when we did not come here prepared to make a decision such as that, when we've already made the decision that we've made with 2 council meetings of debate and discussion, this is not timely. It does not give us enough time to make a decision or reconsider a decision. And I'm certainly not prepared to do that at this table at this point in time. So for many reasons, and if we do stage this in, as Councillor Hong said earlier, one section, whether we said we're going to do it all over 3 years or we're going to decide 1 year at a time how we're going to do it, one section of the community is going to spend a little bit more than the other. For the improved and increased service I suspect that they're receiving. And they don't have the blue bags, yellow bags, all the bags that they used to have. Now they've got the audit. So we're all going to pay eventually. I leave it up to staff to decide where we're going to start the program. I don't want anything to do with telling staff where this program is going to start and which neighborhood it's going to start in, because they're the experts, they're the professionals, they know where it should start. I don't know anything about where it should start and who should be third or get the bronze medal. So whoever gets the gold medal to start this thing, great. The next phase is going to get the silver medal, and somebody's going to get the bronze.
Okay, so there's no further discussion on reconsideration. I just wanted to say that the reconsideration, well, based on what we knew before, where we're at today, there was potential for reduced truck prices by committing to 6 or 8 trucks now over a 3-year delivery cycle. There were incentives that were available to us from Terracin that we won't be able to get now. There was a potential for there's now a potential for 3 or 4 different types of trucks that we may end up having. So our operators could potentially have 4 different types of trucks that they could get into in a particular day. There's a potential for it's real that a third of our community will be paying significantly higher costs for at least the first year, and that was going to be spread over the community. And now there's a real potential for a premium for the recycling pickup. I'll be very curious to find out what it works out to once we start awarding contracts for recycling pickup, what premium that we may end up paying. Councillor Fuller.
I just want to thank you for reiterating everything we had debated before to come to the decision we came to that brought us to tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, on the reconsideration motion, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion is defeated. So it was. So you've got everyone that opposed it, Mr. Jackson. Thank you. Okay, so I don't see anybody wanting to select one of the 3 recommended areas of the city to receive automated.
Motion.
Councillor Hong, are you on that question?
Yeah, I was just see if we could just make a motion that we let staff do a random draw.
Okay, so you were going to reiterate that?
I will make a motion. I'll make a motion, Mr. Mayor, that staff be directed to select the zone to first receive automated garbage selection, either by identifying any perceived efficiencies or, if not, by random draw.
Thank you. So we need a seconder. Seconded by Councillor Hong. Councillor Yoakum.
Thank you, Worship. Hearing this conversation again and hearing some of the talk about this area have more tax, more rate user, more increased rates here and there. I don't want to get into staff's involvement in this either. Like, I don't want to get maybe micromanaging, but wouldn't it just make more sense instead of fear mongering who's going to pay more and just have alternate all parts of the city share and leave it the same as is, and does the truck just rotates parts of the city? Because everyone should know how to use this. Or go in quarters or something. I don't know. There has to be a way, though, because I'm not going to engage in the threats of fear-mongering. This truck cost this, and we lost this and that. Oh, my God. Thank you, Worship. Sorry, I couldn't finish.
Yep, Councillor Kipp.
No, I'm fine.
Okay. Now, with respect to the motion that's on the floor, and it's been seconded, Mr. Jackson? Thank you. One would think that if we're going to face a potential penalty with respect to picking up of recycling. So when I said if it's 600 now and we're taking a third in-house, that we would end up with 400,000. The way to minimize that penalty or premium that we may expect, would it not make more sense to have the area that is the areas that are closest to the 10th Street facility, have them as the ones that don't get it? In other words, we're talking mileage on trucks. You're picking up in the homes, and from their start location in the morning, from their assembly point, so to speak, they would have to drive the least amount of distance to those 2 areas. I'm referring specifically to South and Central. So if we're going to minimize any penalty on our own, would it not make more sense to have the ones with the shortest distance to and from their assembly point?
I could benefit in that. I think absolutely they would, the contractor would see less expenditure on diesel fuel, and so it should reflect in the contract in a small way at least.
So just speaking to the motion that's on the floor right now, which I believe is all encompassing, it's basically leaving it to you, who know best, to do the evaluation. Can you take that into consideration, please?
Absolutely, I will do. Thank you.
Thank you. So, no further speakers. Call the question. All those in favour? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 motions to deal with. First one is that Sewer Regulation and Charge Amendment Bylaw 2015, number 2496.28, be adopted. Do we have a mover, please? Councillor Bestwick, thank you. Seconded by? I'll second it. Thank you. Questions? Seeing none, call the question. All those in favour? Opposed? Motion carries. Next item. That zoning amendment. So, before we get into this one, can you please just give us a wee bit of a nickel tour on what we're trying to do here? It's obviously a slight amendment to the original bylaw that received first and second reading. Mr. Lindsay.
Thank you, Your Worship. When it came time for staff to prepare the public hearing notice for this agenda item, we realized that there were some errors in the bylaw itself. So we put it on your agenda for last meeting, requesting a reconsideration of second. This is just really a procedural housekeeping amendment before the item proceeds then to the public hearing in December.
So can you help us with what the specific change is that was made?
There was two errors, Your Worship, in the original bylaw. One is that it referred to the wrong subsection of the zoning bylaw for amendment, and the second, it referred to rezoning of the property that has the existing liquor store on it. The report that came before council spoke of the liquor license being relocated, but it didn't speak specifically to that property being rezoned, nor had we taken out the required notification requirements, i.e. the signage requirements for that. So the amendment bylaw is specifically for the property at 2000 Island Highway, and it's now for the corrected zone. My apologies for the confusion.
So this is one of the important ones that we had to deal with tonight because it'd be going to public hearing on the first Thursday of December. Am I correct on that?
That's correct, Your Worship. So by giving it amended at second this evening, we can still meet the procedural requirements for that public hearing. That's correct.
Thank you very much. So we have to do them all separately, Mr. Jackson?
Yes, Your Worship.
Okay. So can we, a motion that zoning amendment bylaw 2015 4500.088 be rescinded at second reading. Do we have a mover, please? Councillor Brennan, thank you. A seconder? Thank you, Councillor Thorpe. Discussion. Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Next item. That zoning amendment bylaw number 2015 4500.088 be amended at second reading in order to correct an error in the bylaw which had the wrong section number referenced. Moved by Councillor Bestwick and seconded by Councillor Thorpe. Thank you. Discussion. Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. The next one is motion that zoning amendment bylaw 2015 number 4500.088 pass second reading as amended. Moved by Councillor Bestwick, seconded by Councillor Thorpe. Thank you. No questions. Call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Pardon me?
Could you record my...
I'm sorry, were you opposed on the last one, on the adoption, at second?
Not on amending it, but on, yes, passing second reading as amended. I oppose that.
Okay, thank you. Have you got that, Mr. Jackson? Thank you. Next item, C, motion that Waterworks Rate and Regulation Amendment Bylaw 2015 number 7004.10 to amend water and fire line user rate be adopted. Do we have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Bestwick, seconded by Councillor Thorpe. Thank you. Discussion, seeing none. Oh, Councillor Kipp.
Yes, if I can ask staff, in the Schedules A, it talks about water use. That's page, I'm going to try and see here, page 34. It talks about the usage. And of course, the usage goes up on that rate scale. But then I understand that, excuse me, I'm going to try and find the other page now, where the water rates are, that they actually decrease with larger services as you go up in water, as you up in usage. I guess it'll be page 30 with the rate, the daily rate that applies to hotels and motels. 1,000 gallons is, it just goes, it's cheaper as they use more. Doesn't seem to be a good methodology of restricting usage. On the residential use, it goes up with more you use. On page 30, this group, which is hotels and stuff, and I know our businesses need to make money, but these are 11,000 gallon users, and the rate goes up. So it doesn't seem to me that that would be a methodology to reduce use or to worry, because the more they use, the cheaper the rate is for that next bunch of water. Can you explain why we wouldn't have a consistent rate or go up the more you use?
Through the chair, I'll be the wrong person to answer that question, but I think what's reflected there is a practice that we've had, and I think the larger conversation has to do with our water conservation process, and that will be coming probably from another department to answer. I was just thinking you were asking about the numbers. But if it's conservation, somebody else will have to.
I can
answer
get that after.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. Seeing no other questions, call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Oh, Councillor Kip is opposed. D, motion, Municipal Solid Waste Collection Amendment Bylaw 2015, number 7128.06, to amend solid waste collection user rates be adopted. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Brennan, seconded by Councillor Thorpe. Thank you. Discussion? Seeing none. Oh, Councillor Hong.
Thank you. Are we talking about page 34?
If we're on this one, it'd be between 36 and 37.
Well, I'm just the water rates in Schedule A. How does that refer? It seems like it's different than 30. Are we talking about daily rates? What kind of rates are we talking about here? Just a clarification here.
Actually, we've voted on that, Councillor Hong.
Oh yeah, I know. I was just trying to see the numbers on, because according to Councillor Kip, he says it was going down, but I'm seeing the numbers here going up, costing more money. So I was just a little confused on page 34 because he was referencing 30.
34. Up.
Yeah.
Go back to 30. Go back to page 30, and the uses go, and the costing goes the opposite direction. It's it's $1.07 for the first 1,000. Then you get to the next 1,000, it's 0.85, then 64, then 42. So that's going the opposite way of what I would suggest. There were price increases the ability to stop water flowing.
But the water rates were going up though on page 34 though.
Yeah, 34 they're going up for that usage, but this other hotel usage it goes down as maximum use. So they're kind of diametrically opposed.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor concerning bylaw 2015-7128.06 and that it be adopted. Any questions on that one? Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Next item, question period, agenda items only. Seeing none, move for motion for adjournment of the special open council meeting. So moved by Councillor Kip, or seconded by Councillor Kip, okay. Moved by Councillor Hong, seconded by Councillor Kip. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. So now, if council will turn back to where we were on the special, pardon me, on the regular scheduled open cow meeting. So